And the laws of wealth are timeless. They never change, no matter the century and no matter the culture. And here they are. Here's the 5 that I put down. There are more, but these are 5 basic universal laws that work. Number 1, always expect abundance. Number 2, pay yourself first. Number 3, surround yourself with skilled advice. Number 4, make your money multiply by investing. And 5, multiply yourself with residual income. Now, try to keep it simple and boil the universal laws of wealth down to 5 basics. Now, as you apply these 5 tenets in the order that I described, you will locate and enjoy the wealth that God has already supplied for you. And I know this because it's always worked and it always will. So let's take a look at the universal laws of wealth. Number 1, always expect abundance. Now, the first step to obtaining wealth is to always expect abundance. Never allow your mind to drift to the poor head. Expecting abundance is your first priority. You got to want it. You have to want abundance. God wants you to have it more than you want to have it. I have a friend who was brought up in a wealthy family. And she was beautiful, blonde, prosperous, and always seemed to be at the right place at the right time. She would land the best jobs, and time after time she was given tickets to professional sporting events, which she usually gave away. One time she won a couch by being the 100,000th customer at a store and gave that couch to my son who needed one for his college apartment. I asked her why good things happened to her all the time, and she looked at me and she said, "I always expect abundance." The same principle works just as well on the negative side. If you expect lack, you're going to get lack. Part of expecting is asking. So the half-brother of Jesus said by revelation, "We have not because we ask not." See, you always want to expect abundance. Asking is nothing more than going for a goal or an objective. Asking is knowing what you want and having the shameless boldness to ask God or somebody else for it. God said we have not because we ask not. Now, we're not just going to get something because of asking. Okay, that's one step. But if you know enough to ask for it, then you've already set a goal of some sort. So in business, we ask for the sale. We ask for the referral. We will ask for abundance if we truly expect abundance. God wants us to do that. The children of Israel left Egypt with the wealth of the world because they asked the Egyptians for that abundance. Surprisingly, the Egyptians gave it to them. It was originally wealth brought into the country by Joseph, and they were just asking for their stack back. Exodus 12:36. Now here's a record of how God expects us to expect abundance. This is the true biblical mindset of prayer. This is the true biblical mindset of expecting abundance always. Now this may shock you. This may shock you. Jesus' disciples asked him to teach them how to pray like his cousin John the Baptist taught his followers to pray. John's people must have gotten noticeable results for the disciples to point this out back to Jesus. So Jesus told the story of a friend, a well-known neighbor who got an unexpected visitor in the middle of the night. This close friend comes to your home and starts ringing your doorbell, pounding on the door, and talking loud. It's the middle of the night. And you can tell by the dialogue that they're close. Luke 11, verse 7. And he from within will answer, "Do not disturb me, the door is now closed, and my children are with me in bed. I cannot get up and supply you with anything." Now I tell you, although he will not get up and supply him anything because he is his friend, yet because of his shameless persistence and insistence, He will get up and give him as much as he needs. So I say to you, ask, keep on asking, and it shall be given you. Seek, and keep on seeking, and ye shall find. Knock, and keep on knocking, and the door shall be opened to you. See, this was his friend. He could say no to his friend, just like he could say yes. And his friend knew that if he pushed this guy hard enough, he was going to give him what he wanted. And all he wanted is 3 little small loaves of bread, you see. And the guy didn't want to get up and give it to him because it's the middle of the night, but he just kept knocking, kept asking, kept seeking. So keep asking until you get what you want. Keep seeking until you find the door, and keep knocking until that door opens and you get what you want. That's how to get prayers answered. That's how we find our abundance. Keep the prayer pressure on. Keep the pressure on. Never quit. Never give up. God promised you abundance. Go find a way to get it. That's your job. Shamelessly pursue your abundance with focused persistence. That's what Jesus taught his disciples. That's how you get prayers answered. You just keep asking, keep going for what you want. Do whatever you can. Always expect abundance, and you will always find it. That was number 1. Now number 2, pay yourself first. Now step 2 to tapping into the universal laws of wealth is to pay yourself first. What does that mean? It means to take a percentage from every paycheck and bank it before you pay all your other bills. Now, it's easy for all of you with a 401k or some kind of TSP or some kind of government savings because they just take it out and they match it. They give you something too. They don't even tell you. They don't have to. You have to opt out of it if you don't want it. But those of you who are self-employed, you have to opt. You have to want to get one, and it's hard. If you make just enough to pay your bills, this may seem counterintuitive, but it is step 2 to tapping into the universal law of prosperity. We must pay ourselves first. Now, I hear some of you thinking, that's not right, Mark. I give the first portion to my church, or to my ministry, or to my favorite charity. I say, great. All that tells me is you already get the point on how to live on the remainder. You already know how to do that. If you're used to giving a percentage to somebody, you see, then you're used to living on the 90 or 95 or 85%. What I'm saying is to put some away for you too. No one else is going to save for you. The Bible is pretty clear on taking care of your own. You have to take care of yourself. You have to take care of your children. You have to take care of your spouse and maybe even a parent. At times, no one is going to save for you. Paul said, if anyone does not provide for his relatives, and especially for members of his household, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. Now that's pretty bold for Paul to say. If you don't take care of your own basic affairs at home, then you're denying the faith. You're denying what being a Christian is, and you're worse than an unbeliever. So I would say pay yourself first, folks. Pay yourself first. It's okay to give to whomever you like, but biblically it is your responsibility, your duty, to put some percentage away for your own self and your own family as well. Now, if you're just getting restarted or regaining control of your finances, this is going to be hard to do because of a damaged belief system. A damaged belief system. Now, this goes back to point 1, our attitude toward abundance. You see, if you think broke, you're going to be broke. Think abundance, have abundance. See, if your limit is all anybody ever makes in my family is $50,000, then you're going to make $50,000. If it's $12,000, you're going to make $12,000. If it's $150,000, you're probably going to make $150,000. It's like most rich people they don't worry about money. They just expect it to be there. But they put in hard work. I'm not denying that. Now, I work as a financial planner, and I know some financial planners who won't help a person with their money, won't help them with their savings until that person has a 90-day reserve of money. I always ask them, how is that client supposed to get that 90-day emergency fund if they don't save more than they spend? Now, I know it's hard, folks, if you're just living paycheck to paycheck, but if you start doing it, you start putting away 10% or 15% or 5%, away and start saving that, you're going to find that you'll be able to live on the rest of that. You'll figure it out. Everybody does. Choose a percentage and raise it every year. Maybe 5%. See, 5% is better than no percent. Start with 10%. But if you start with 5, then next year maybe bump it up to 10. Start building your believing. Start building your expectation. If God promised abundance to you, what is 5%? 5% you wouldn't consider an abundance. You just consider it 5%. It's a little bit. It's a nickel out of a dollar. It's not much. Did you know that most millionaires make it a habit to save 15 to 20% of every dollar they earn? They either put it in the market or they invest it back into a business. Usually they have multiple streams of income, but we'll talk about that in point number 5. Now here's a tip. Find a way to make the percentage that you set aside invisible. Now, set up automatic withdrawals from your paycheck or automatically removing money from your bank account is a great way to pay yourself first. If you don't see it, you don't miss it. You'll get used to it. Now, we're going to get into investing that saving in step 4. So some of you are thinking, well, saving, who wants to do that? I want to invest. Well, we'll get to that. Just hang in there. Just be cool. It's all good. So when you start paying all your other bills, after you pay yourself, you're going to find that you'll find a way to earn enough to pay those bills too. When I was 9 years old, my parents would borrow money from me because they knew I did odd jobs for the neighbors and I saved every dime. I bought a car when I was 15 years old, so I'd be ready to go when I was 16. At 16, I sold that car to my parents because it was better than the 3 cars that they owned. I believed in saving since I was a little kid, and saving believed in me. Right now I put away 20% of everything I earn, plus I give a percentage to our ministry and to other charities on a consistent basis. If I don't, who else is going to put away money for me? See, the Bible talks about observing how the ant works hard now to store up for later. Proverbs 6:6. That's all I'm saying. Is do like the ants. Do like the squirrels. Put a little away. Nobody's going to do that for the ants. Nobody's going to do that for the squirrel. See, personal finance is 80% behavior and 20% knowledge. It's more of a being a financial planner is more of a behavioral counselor than it is just investing their money. It's training people how to deal with their mind so they can believe to make more. But we'll get to more of that in point number 5. Now you're well on the road to wealth when you discipline yourself to pay yourself first. That's step 2. Number 3, surround yourself with skilled advice. Now, and this brings us to step 3. We need to educate ourselves on what to do with the money we've been saving. And there's many ways to get qualified advice and many ways to invest. A financial planner is one. A CPA can give you some advice. An accountant, a business coach, a good realtor, a mortgage broker, books, or the internet can all be sources of great advice. Now, financial ignorance charges a high price, folks. You're going to pay a high price for not understanding the basics of money. Ignorance will cost you. About half of all Americans are considered financially illiterate. I have been in people's homes, they had to write me a check, and they didn't know how to write a check. One of them was an Air Force Academy grad. did not know how to write a check. He had a check, but he'd never written one because everybody uses credit cards. I get it. The wild thing is, these kids, they know advanced mathematics, calculus and such, but they don't know the basics of finances. Whatever the government takes out, that's good enough for them. You got to think. It's your life, folks. We don't want to be worse than an unbeliever. The wild thing is they think and talk about money constantly, but they don't understand how to grow it. Everybody thinks that the verse that mentions the love of money being the root of all evil is just talking about rich people. 1 Timothy 6:10. See, poor people also think about money, don't they? Or should I say they desire to have money they don't have, and they think about this all day long. The Greek word for the love of money doesn't mean reverence like the way you love God. It's not agape or agapeo. It's from the word phileo. It's a friendship. It's a courtship. It's not worship. Here it means a super close friendship. And if you're a spouse, you're talking sex. That's the impression here God's trying to talk about. You see, we've all seen the movies where the pretty girl in a slinky dress is laying on a bed covered with cash, throwing it in the air. You love your spouse, but you don't want to go to bed with money. We're going to see in the next section how to make your money work for you. How to give it time to breed with other monies. We just let it do its thing. We just let money do its thing. And we just put it with its own kind, and it's going to multiply. It's going to get busy. You see, most people don't even know what they don't know about money. To be financially skillful, we all need to understand basics like credit, compound interest, diversification, and inflation. If any of those words are foreign or are of no interest to you or fly over your head, then it's time to educate yourself a bit on the way finances work. Even Jesus talked about interest being made on investments and how money makes money, Luke 19:23. See, compound interest was called by Einstein the eighth wonder of the world. It just blows people's minds how compound interest works. Now, concerning inflation, what you can buy with $500 today will cost you $1,000 in 25 years. So you might want to think twice about how much you're saving for retirement. You will need twice as much as you think. See, diversification means spreading your money around to various investments so when one goes down, there's others to pick up the slack. We'll explain that. See, basically, in a sense, what that means is you don't put it all in one type of stock or all in the stock market. Some people want to have a little bit of real estate investment or real estate investment trust. Some people want to buy bonds, though they're not as good of an investment today, but they're pretty safe. Some people they want to just keep it in a CD in their bank. That's okay if you're like 1%, but your money. It's your money. See, credit is an agreement in which borrower receives something of value now and agrees to repay the lender at some date in the future, usually with interest. Now, you can call it debt too. I'm not saying debt's good, and I'm not saying debt's bad. We wouldn't even have this country if it wasn't for debt. Your city wouldn't have roads if it wasn't for municipal bonds, which is a type of debt, you see. So, the world runs on it. Most people aren't smart with it because they don't even understand anything about money. You see, always go to a source that you believe is more accomplished or more current than you are in that area. And there's many books and websites that'll help you. So many. Give me a call if you want me to help you. And there are just as many people, just like those websites that'll help you, there's just as many people who want to take your money from you too. So you got to be aware. You don't want to be greedy and you don't want to be gullible. See, don't let guilt gullibility, or greed lure you into investments or partnerships that benefit someone else at your or your family's expense. It happens every day, folks. Every day. I once saw an old gray-haired woman working at Walmart, and I asked her if she was working because she was bored or because she outlived her money. And she told me that her kids kept borrowing money until she had no more savings. She was guilted into poverty. I have a client who told me that he wanted to take out just under $100,000 out of his growing portfolio so he could buy some cryptocurrency because a friend on the internet whom he never met told him it was a no-brainer. This investment's a no-brainer. I told him it wasn't a good idea at that time. He lost 40% of his money as fast as a jackrabbit runs from a fox. See, educate yourself on the magic of compound interest, credit, diversification, and inflation. You have to understand what those are, folks. 50% of the world understands. The top 10% of people fully understand that, and they use it to leverage an advantage for themselves. So, to end this, surround yourself with skilled advice via books, internet, or some kind of advisor. Number 4, make your money multiply. And I say make your money multiply. This brings us to the next step. See, we expect abundance. We've been saving. We've been good boys and girls. We've even educated ourselves on the basics of wealth. We're getting smarter by the day. We've even hired a financial professional of some sort. Now we need to get our money getting busy. Now, money is like sex. If it hangs out long enough with other monies, it will reproduce, folks. It's going to reproduce. Let your money hang out long enough with other money in the stock market, and it will replicate like a flock of sheep or a warren of rabbits. It's going to happen. Now, there's many ways to invest. Stock market, real estate, oil, small companies you believe in, municipalities, multifamily dwellings, music, art. There's a lot of ways to invest. I'm going to speak mostly about the stock market because that's what I know. That's the business I'm in. But think diversification from point 3. You may have to do a few things. And as you get more money, you're going to want to. One thing I didn't put in here is taxes. You better understand the tax laws and the tax structures before you start investing, or as you start investing, not before, because you may never get started. So, did you know that that in most 20-year spans, the stock market has been up over 70% of the time? I mean, 7 out of 10 is not bad odds. Not bad odds. Did you know that if you take the number 72 and divide it by a fixed interest rate, you can determine how many years it will take for your money to double? That works, folks. And that's called the rule of 72. So, for example, 72 divided by 10% interest means your money will double in 7.2 years. Double. Double! 72 divided by 7% interest, which is pretty easy to get, your money's going to double in 10.2 years. So at 7%, your money will double in about 10 years. That's the rule of 72. If you just want to look at your money and see what's going to happen. Now, my grandfather was a multimillionaire, and he lived on an island off of Rockport, Texas. And the neighbors visited each other by these little boats. So they called them bayous, but they weren't. And it's all man-made. And he took me and my lovely wife Josephine around to meet his neighbors in his white electric boat shaded from the hot Texas sun with an off-white canopy. And one old guy came out to the dock to greet us. And my grandfather introduced him as a retired stockbroker. And the guy immediately went into a rant on how easy it was to make money. He said, you take your stack of money and you invest it over here. And then you take some more of your stack of money and you invest it over there. And before you know it, you're going to have more money than you know what to do with. And then he smiled. And my grandfather asked him, but how do you get that first stack? And he said, that's the hard part. Getting the first stack is the hard part. See, getting the first stack takes expecting abundance and paying yourself every week, every month, year after year. Getting your stack back is hard. But if God's already supplied all your need, and if God wants you to have all abundance, more, if He can give you more than you can, abundantly more than you can even imagine, then what is our problem? It's a believing problem, folks. It's an expectation problem. You see, get your stack back. You see, I'd say it's time to get our stack back. Don't you say so? Sure. See, God has supplied the need of everyone on earth. You know, it says, for He makes the sun rise upon evil men as well as the good, and He sends His rain upon the honest and dishonest man alike. And that's Matthew 5:45 from the Phillips. Now, one thing I want to point out here is a lot of Christians think because they're good people or because they're Christians that God's going to bless them more than everybody else. I'm sad to say, folks, it's the same rules for money that apply to everybody. And God supplies a need for everybody on earth. Everybody on earth. Everybody has a stack. And if they apply these 5 little principles, they'll be well on the road to not just getting their stack back, but doubling that stack, tripling that stack. See, Philippians 4:19 from the ESV says, and my God will supply every need of yours according to His riches and glory in Christ Jesus. God will supply every need of yours. So if you have a need that's not being supplied, it is not God's fault. Luke 12:24 from the ESV says, consider the ravens. They neither sow nor reap. They have neither storehouse nor barn, and yet God feeds them. Of how much more value are you than the birds? I mean, God even takes care of the birds. You don't see them begging. They don't have a cardboard sign standing next to the main road down there, waiting, with their little chicklets, standing around them to make you feel guilty and want to give them money. You see, they know God feeds them. They just expect it. Some of them will fly thousands of miles to get it. They work hard for their, what to them would be money, their grains, to feed and to breed. And you are of more value than those birds, and God even takes care of them. Folks, what are we waiting for? We're waiting for somebody else? Are we waiting for some fancy little unicorn to throw colorful monies in your pocket? It ain't going to happen that way. You see? It's funny, this has nothing to do with money, but I was at a restaurant the other day, and I always ask the servers where they're from, and the girl said, I'm from Colorado. I said, well, you were born here? She goes, yeah. I said, man, you're one of the few. She goes, I'm a unicorn. So it must be a term they use. There's not many people from Colorado. Most people are from everywhere else, and they move here because of the quality of life. You see? So, you do not have because you do not ask. James 4:2 says, you have not because you ask not. You don't have because you don't ask. Asking is set in your mind. It's going for something. Get your stack back. And then now invest that stack. You want a big family of money? I do. Then put it with the other money and give it time to replicate. See, money must be very sexy to other money, because it sure does reproduce, you see. I mean, it'll double in, 10% interest in 7.2 years, You see? Now just don't let money be too sexy to you. I don't want to see you laying on a bed of cash thrown in the air. That's very graphic, but you know, the love of money is this wanting it like you'd want a lover. You see? Money's just a thing. Money's just a thing. It's just a means to an end. Money is nothing more than energy. You see, it gives you a contained amount of purchasing power depending on how many zeros are printed on your portfolio statement. That's all it is. A lot of people don't even handle cash anymore. Some people won't even take cash at different stands and restaurants. They want plastic. You see, or they want you to just hold your phone up and, you know, work it that way. You see, so you know, put your money to work by investing it wisely. Give your money the time to multiply. Your money wants to get busy, folks. Give it the time and put it in a place with other money so it can get busy. So give your money the time to multiply. Now, number 5, the final point, multiply yourself with residual income. Okay, I'll explain that. Finally, after we've trained our mind to always expect abundance, number 1, then we put away a growing percentage of our earnings each month. We've done better and better and better. That's number 2. Next, number 3, we surround ourselves with advanced financial learning. We just keep learning, stay in tune. Then finally, we let our money multiply by letting it get busy with other money in the market or in real estate or something like that. Now, finally, if you do those other things and each one builds on the next, you have to first have the attitude. Then you have to next start saving something. And the easiest way is a percentage. You know, and then once you get good at that, then start studying about it. Start studying, start learning about money. See, then you start investing that. Now you know because you're not stupid now. You see, now you're smart with investing. Now, most of you have 401ks from your job or whatever, and it's okay, you're smart. But you don't even have to think about it. You don't even really know what it's being invested in. You see, it'd be a good idea to check it out. I just looked at somebody's 401k the other day, hadn't made money in 3 years. Because when they first started, somebody invested them in all bonds. So we're changing that all around. Now we learn to multiply ourselves. Multiplying yourself is the easiest way to abundance and repetitive wealth. Now, what does that mean to multiply yourself? Now, you know you can't put yourself on a copy machine, even though you've done it at that office party. You remember the time, you see. So you can't multiply yourself that way. People say you can't be in 2 places at one time, but wealthy people have figured out how to do just that. You can be at 2 places at once. And I'm a firm believer in multiple streams of income. Now, a lot of us don't understand that. That means you earn money at your job and you do something else on the side. But it doesn't mean you have to go work, 16 hours a day. Now, some of you maybe should work 16 hours a day, especially if you don't even have your first stack. That's what any of those radio talk guys would tell you. You see, to really make some serious money, you need to be making money even when you aren't working. Residual income is income you continue to receive even when you are not present. Now think employees, think team members, think royalties from books or oil or movies or art, think real estate, especially family dwellings. You buy the whole building or buy a duplex or buy a rental home. Business investments can make money when you're not doing it. Network marketing is another way. There's a lot of businesses that you can do on the side and that the money's going to keep coming in when you're not working. The stock market, of course, is like that. One young man brought me a grossly underperforming portfolio. And once I sent it to work for him in the stock market, he earned $17,000 $17,000 in interest the very first month. The guy was blown away. He hadn't earned money in years on that because it was invested very poorly. You see, he wasn't wise with that money. And most people don't think, we're not taught to. You're taught to maybe write a check, how to add and subtract, but to understand that the fineries of money, that's that last couple of steps ago. It's very smart to surround yourself with that. You see, I'm part of that young man's team now to produce residual income for him. He's making crazy money in the stock market. I'm part of his team. He makes residual money. He's not working. He made $17,000 in 1 month and he did not lift a finger to make that money. That's residual income, folks. That's what the market can start doing. That's what that old guy was saying. You take your money, you put it here, take your money and put it there. Before you know, you're making so much money you don't know what to do with it. Well, most of us don't have that problem. You see. Now, that kid also put a substantial amount of money in, okay? So it wasn't like, he didn't put in 1,000 and make 17,000. The market's not doing that good. It's not 1,700%, So, plus if you're going to build a team, if you're going to have employees, or you're going to have other people in your network that are going to make money along with you and for you, you see, if you're going to make long-lasting residual income, then you have to treat your people with the utmost respect. We never use people. Now, all of you have been in jobs or been in places where you felt used. That's not good. I am not talking about that. Those are people who love money, and they'll use you. They'll mess with you, so that they can benefit. That is wrong on all points. We don't live at the competitive plane. We live at a giving plane. We live at the plane of love. We live at the plane of light. See, even Jesus chose 12 disciples, to be his team leaders. They worked the family business for years after he was died and risen and ascended, and then they didn't see him anymore. And they're going to keep the same teams going in the distant future after the resurrection of the just or the unjust. They're still going to be doing those same jobs. They must have been 12, but he had to replicate himself. And any good business does that. You want that person doing that business so well that you don't have to be there. I have a business like that. Somebody else works it. I don't do anything. You see, except for pay the bills, a couple of other things. You see, always give the people who help you to build wealth something greater in use value than they're doing for you monetarily. I'm going to say that again. Always give other people who help you build your wealth, something greater in use value than they're doing for you monetarily. It's like a book. You go down to the bookstore and you buy a book for $18, let's say. Now, is that book worth $18 or is it worth more than that? You see, is it worth more than that? Now, if that book helps you do something that you've really wanted to do in your life, like earn money or lose weight or get in shape, or just entertains you, it's probably worth far more than $18. Always give people more in use value than they give you monetarily. See, so I guess I don't want to wear that out, but here's another verse. Give unto your servants that which is just and equal, knowing that you have a master in heaven. Colossians 4:1. You give people what's just and equal. That's the word, folks. That's the right way. Anybody, whether you're Christian, non-Christian, Buddhist, Jewish, Islam, I don't care what you are, if you apply these principles, they will work. They're universal laws, folks. Luke 6:38 from the King James. Give and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down and shaken together and running over, shall men given to your bosom. For with the same measure that ye mete withal, it shall be measured to you again. Just cram-packed, shaken down, cram-packed, more poured on there. I mean, that's how God's going to give back to you if you just give. Giving's a huge one. I didn't want to make that its own point because it threads through everything. Love is giving. God is giving. Life is giving. It's just the way it is. One of the most powerful laws of human nature is called the law of reciprocity. It basically means that if you do something nice for me, I will return the favor. You do something for me, I do something for you. Hey, you do something for me, I do something for you. It's just the way it goes. It works. A lot of times you walk into a store, if they do something for you, they give you something, then you feel like you need to reciprocate. That's why a lot of salespeople give out those little junky gifts, a pen or a paperweight or something. Because then you're going to remember that person, you're going to remember that company and probably do business. You're probably going to give more to that company than they gave you. That's the law of reciprocation. You see, many times people will give back far more generously than the original good deed. Train or hire others to make money for you and with you, whether you are there or not. Then treat them right and continue the process for years. Choose your team wisely and treat them incredibly well. That's how you multiply yourself. Find a way to multiply yourself. That's residual income. You have to be able to multiply yourself. Then you're going to start making some serious cash, folks. In closing, God's already supplied our need. He's given us all things that pertain to life and godliness. He wants us to prosper and be in health. No good thing will He withhold from them that walk uprightly. God will give you exceeding abundantly above all that ye ask or think, according to His riches and glory. And how rich is He? God's just laid it out for us. The whole universe is in tune with you, folks. It's just waiting for you to learn these basics. Like Jesus taught His disciples, let's go after what we want with importunity. Let's seek. Let's knock. Let's ask. With aggressive, focused persistence, and we will see the universal laws of abundance come alive. Your money will be getting busy as you work your way through these steps. If you want to find the wealth that God has waiting for you, if you want to get your stack back, then 1, always expect abundance. 2, pay yourself first and keep on giving. 3, surround yourself with skilled advice. 4, make your money multiply by investing in something that can grow. And 5, multiply yourself with residual income. These are the ancient and universal laws of wealth. God bless.